For Creamer Media's Polity, I'm Sashnee Moodley. Researcher and analyst Professor Raymond Suttner joins me for Suttner's View, a weekly commentary on South Africa's political scene. Welcome, Professor.
Morning.
With the revelations about KPMG, McKinsey and Bell Pottinger, do you think that the state capture project is under pressure?
With all these Gupta leaks and the analyses that the journalists have done, there has been a lot of exposure. There's been a lot of pressure on Parliament to act and carry out its role beyond what it was doing before. And what impresses me with the way they are tackling these leaks, they've only gone through about 10% or 20% of the leaks, because before they release anything, they check it very, very carefully. And I think that's very important for us as the public, to know that when something very scandalous is revealed, that it actually is true what they reveal, that they have not sucked something out of their thumbs. Now, the result of all these things has been that a number of people have resigned, like Brian Molefe, suspension of Anuj Singh, and other people. And I think the effect of this, which creates a crisis for them, is that they're no longer creaming off money at the rate at which they were doing before, when they had these very compliant people there who were, first of all, diverting money to the Guptas on an ongoing basis, but that was being taken care of for the future. Also, they don't have access to banking facilities, and there is a real crisis professionally in regard to the companies that have operated on their behalf. In the case of Bell Pottinger, was an elaborate scheme to create a number of false discourses, either through planted tweets or through paid politicians for whom they wrote speeches. So everyone was on message saying the same thing, and they invented this thing of white monopoly capital and radical economic transformation. Valid concerns in many ways in the case of radical economic transformation, but it was not done for that reason. It was done in order to facilitate the attack on the Treasury. There is also the problem that you have now, that the professional standing of the accountancy profession has been damaged. Apparently, with a firm like KPMG, when you audit a big bank, you have to be a company of particular size. You have to be able to devote about 10 qualified chartered accountants and about 100 other people to do the job. Maybe it's even more than that. And it's going to create, some people fear, the Reserve Bank fears, it's going to create something of a crisis for the banks, in that you're supposed to rotate your auditors, and you're supposed to have 2 at a time, and there are only 4 big companies like KPMG. So there's a whole lot of consequences institutionally which are going to be with this country for a very long time. However, the days of just creaming off are not over, because they're continuing to try to remove the head of the PIC, for example, and other people are being put under pressure. But it's harder to do it than it was before.
And what do you make of Tomoyane's reaction to KPMG's apology?
You know, it's bizarre in the sense that KPMG say they've withdrawn a report and they believe that it doesn't come up to standards, its conclusions are not valid. Now, if the conclusions are not valid, it also raises questions about the data that they used. Now, what it means for Moyane is the whole basis on which he justified the action against Ivan Pillay, Gordhan, Van Lochenberg, and these other people comes under question. He says, no, it wasn't because of that. It was because of the Kruin Commission and Muzi Sikakane's reports. Now, all those two reports have come under question on legal grounds and on factual grounds. But in any case, what has become clear is that KPMG acted on the instructions of SARS. They did not conduct an independent investigation. The SARS lawyers sent them draft recommendations saying that this is what we think you should find. And that's documented by, if you look at the tweet page of Polity van Wyk, or if you look at her article in Daily Maverick yesterday, you can see it. And what they really did, KPMG, and this is incredibly unethical, they transplanted the recommendations of the lawyers of SARS into their report, including spelling errors. And it also reflects very badly on the lawyers. Those same lawyers, as it happens, at a later stage got cold feet, and they said to Moyane that for ethical reasons we are not going to involve ourselves in the prosecution of Gordhan. Now, Moyane has been involved in a state capture project, apparently. Instead of keeping cool and saying, I will respond later, he says, KPMG has no right to withdraw it. It's the property of SARS. They're part of a conspiracy to show SARS in this bad light, and the commissioner is corrupt. So he loses his cool completely. And what he's objecting to, what he's really wanting to do, is to reinstate a report that the authors say is not valid. So it's only explicable by panic, I think. And I hope that things are closing in, and that those people who were wrongly dismissed, who suffered various damages to their reputation and materially, will be adequately compensated for the harm caused by people like Tom Moyane, aided by the Sunday Times at that time, and a number of others, and that we can start to rebuild. But it's going to be difficult. As I said to you earlier, the problem of KPMG being so compromised in all of this is that it's possible that they will collapse. And if they collapse, and there are only 3 instead of 4 firms which have to audit 4 out of 5 of the big banks, it's going to actually put a strain on the economic system in South Africa. So there's a lot of consequences even from doing the right thing, like getting rid of KPMG might be the right thing, but it creates a strain. So the Moyane thing is not explicable rationally, or let's say the only rationale is that he's panicking.
Thanks for speaking with us, Professor.
Thank you.
That was Professor Raymond Suttner speaking to Creamer Media's Polity about state capture under stress.